pose. Was the Cardinals win more about Arizona playing well or more about the Packers playing really bad? Skip, let's go to you first.
Stephen A., you know where I'm going to go. I cannot tell a lie. This was mostly about how incredibly bad the bad man was, known as Aaron Rodgers. This man has been bad for about 2 months now. I can go back about 9 games and show you what happened to the bad man, because I certainly have high regard for him as one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in pro football. But for about 9 games, he hasn't remotely been top 2 or 3. Yesterday, he felt like bottom 10 to me. Threw for 151 yards, got sacked, 8 times? Seems like he fumbled after every sack, but 2 of those fumbles got taken back for touchdowns. He also threw an interception into the end zone. So there's bad. 21 points effectively that he cost his football team. Wound up with a QBR scaled 0 to 100 of 9, QBR of 9. And I don't know where this team would have been without that Thursday night miracle that Aaron Rodgers pulled off, the Hail Rodgers to Richard Rodgers. And I'm going to say it again. It was about 5 yards underthrown, and Richard Rodgers wandered back to the goal line. Wasn't the intended receiver, and made a really nice catch and fell into the scrum. And miracle had happened. They pulled off a win that they probably didn't deserve at Detroit. I don't know where the Green Bay would be without that. I realize that Davante Adams is not on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. Davante dropped a touchdown pass I thought he should have caught on a little fade route near the end of the game. But that said, listen, Tom Brady's line was worse than Aaron Rodgers. It's just too hard to go position by position. But remember, Tom Brady early on yesterday lost Sebastian Vollmer. And you say, well, look at this line. They can't protect Aaron Rodgers. It's no worse than Tom Brady's line, but Aaron Rodgers is getting brain lock. He is deer in headlights. He just stands and holds, and goes down. Tom Brady speed reads and gets rid of the ball so quickly that even the Jets, who were getting free runs at him through his decimated line, on your mark, get set, go. Tom Brady's still getting rid of the ball and still throwing for 231 yards and still pulling off the 66-yard drive to tie the game at 20-all before overtime. So I don't know what's happened to Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you can defend him, but to me, that game was all about him standing and getting sacked 8 times. That's what it boiled down to.
Well, first of all, before I get into last night's game, that beat down that the Green Bay Packers had succumbed to, let's keep in mind that Aaron Rodgers is having a down year. There is no doubt about that. He's only completing 60% of his passes, where he historically completes better than 66% of his passes. That's why I call him the bad man that he is. And being as awful as he's been, and let's concede, Skip, he has been awful by Aaron Rodgers standards. I'd like to remind America that same awful Aaron Rodgers, just so happens to have 30 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions, and a QBR of 67 and a quarterback rating of 93. I just want to throw that out, just to make sure everybody know that this is what we call awful for Aaron Rodgers, which speaks to his greatness. Now let me get to yesterday. You're going up against an Arizona Cardinals team that is 13-2 on the year. You're going up against an Arizona Cardinals team that obviously had, Johnson and the Honey Badger out with injuries, and they had to reshuffle their secondary a bit, and those brothers stepped up, and they deserve a lot of credit. You're talking about a defense that's ranked 4th overall, that's ranked 4th against the pass, 7th against the pass, and 4th against the rush. You're talking about a defense with a defensive line, and my boy Dwight Freeney, who had 3 sacks, Calais Campbell, who had 2.5 sacks. Ultimately, they had 8 sacks. I will get on Aaron Rodgers for that interception. He threw to Bethel in the end zone because that was an ill-advised pass. I would also get on him for the fact that he didn't hold on to the football, because you got to protect the football, and you can't give 2 takeaways that lead to touchdowns. But I would also like to remind you, he was playing without 3 starting offensive linemen. he was playing without a running game, and he was playing without receivers that continue to struggle to get open. And that is the reality. I don't know how many times I've got to say this to you. Yeah, I understand that Aaron Rodgers could be the one accused of dancing in the pocket now, like the late great Gregory Hines, God rest his soul. But the problem with it is that cats are not getting open. You've got whether it's Adams, whether it's Starks, whether it's Cobb, whether it's Quarles, it doesn't matter. Guys are not getting open. And when you combine that with the fact that the offensive line, as depleted as it was getting blitzed because Arizona is no joke when it comes to getting at the quarterback, what the hell do you expect them to do? I don't know a quarterback in NFL history that is exceptional when receivers can't get open. If you can't get open, there's nothing you can do. You don't have guys that can gain any separation. They can't get open. You combine that with the absence of a running game and an offensive line that can't block. You even had Coach McCarthy talking about, I'm very concerned about the hits my quarterback was taking, because whether he was getting rid of the ball or not, here's the reality, Skip. Instead of you using it as an opportunity to denigrate and insult and be so disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers, you should have sympathy. You should have been up here sitting there in that seat today from New York City, acknowledging that this man's lucky he's not in the hospital because of how much he was getting beat up yesterday. It was a miracle that he actually could sit up and show up for the damn press conference because of how he was getting beat down, because whether he got sacked or strip sacked or not, those boys were putting some wood on him because he wasn't protected all game long. You combine that with the fact that the damn receivers can't get open, which leads you to holding on to the ball just a little bit longer than you should. And I can't believe that you haven't sat here. You show no level of compassion whatsoever. You're your typical mean-spirited self, Skip, when it comes to this guy. And you're not sitting there and showing the level of sympathy he deserves. Got his back pushed. He got his chest caved in. He got his back pushed in. He's got his head snapped. He's got his knees buckled. And Lord knows what happened to his arm, his shoulder, and his elbows. The brother should be in the hospital today recuperating. Yep. No sympathy on your part. You should be ashamed.
You're right. I give up. I feel really, really sorry for Aaron Rodgers, the pathetic shell of himself that he is now. He's washed up. He's lost it completely. He doesn't just tap dance in the pocket. He just freezes solid in the pocket. He's lost it. He should be in the hospital or the psychiatric ward today because he's got both problems going on. I give you all that. I feel for him. In fact, maybe they should think about Tolzien, maybe going with Tolzien next week. Just give this poor man a break from the beating that he's taken both physically and psychologically, trying to stand in that poor pocket of his.
You could say that, but obviously it's tinged with sarcasm because you're so disrespectful, because you're so dismissive of greatness, and because you're so dismissive of greatness. It's okay, but all I'm going to say to you is this. If you're honest, and it's rare that you are when it comes to athletes you want to hate on, the fact of the matter is the receivers weren't getting open. I don't hear you saying that enough. Nobody was getting open. Nobody. And by the way, Powers did a good job switching over to safety and subbing for the Honey Badger. He did a really great job, but it was that defensive line, that front seven, they were coming at him, and Calais Campbell and Dwight Freeney. I mean, have you ever met, Skip, you've been around long enough. Have you ever met Dwight Freeney? Do you see what a wide truck of a body that brother has on him? I'm trying to tell you right now, I can't believe Aaron Rodgers is not in the hospital. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Yep. If you had put Tom Brady behind the same line with the same receivers yesterday, trust me, he would have kept the Green Bay Packers right in that football game, right to the wire. I'm not saying he could have won it, but maybe without Honey Badger on the other side, you might be surprised what the truly great Tom Brady could have done against that defense without Honey Badger.
In Belichick and Josh McDaniels' system, I'm saying in Belichick and Josh McDaniels' system, receivers are going to get at least a touch open. at least a touch open. You got Green Bay, McCarthy. Well, listen, McCarthy once had Joe Philbin there. He's the damn offensive coordinator, wasn't even calling plays. McCarthy was calling plays. Then he took away those duties from himself to concentrate more on head coaching duties, but that wasn't working out, so he picks and chooses at times to call plays now. It's all over the place, okay? That's not the case in New England, so you can't compare the two. You can't compare the two.
Okay, last quick point. If Aaron Rodgers were, as you once called him, the greatest thrower of the football you've ever seen, he would be able to throw those receivers open with his pinpoint, quick release passes. They wouldn't look open, and all of a sudden they would be open. So I'm not buying that. Sorry.
I am. I'm watching them. They ain't getting open.
Okay, so this all means that next week's regular season finale between the Packers and Vikings is very crucial. The winner of that clinches the NFC North, and the loser of that will take the wild card spot. So Cam and Brady, they lost in the